I got the whole lineup again. Going through the IRs. Thank you to Celestion Plus for sending me a Lynchback IR, which is what I have in my Friedman cab. It's a Friedman 112 with a Lynchback speaker, which is a really cool speaker. It's kind of a greenback with just a little more and you know, and it handles more wattage, which is really nice, especially, you know, I'm plugging in pretty high watt heads into this little 112. So in this case, I've got a 60s blackface Fender Bassman, which is on about 3.5 in there. And I've got some pedals going. So yeah, if you see, there's a lot of cuts because I was too lazy to move my pedal board over, so I just punched in and recorded that. You know, I know, lazy. And in this, I also did just load boxes for each of these guys, so we could hear the difference of the load boxes using the same IR. for this test, I actually dialed in everything using the IRs first. After everything was done, then I went back to the live, the real cabinet. And one thing I noticed is when you go into any of the reactive loads, it sort of drove the amp hotter. So when I went back to the real cabinet was less gainy for sure, less loud and punchy. It was significantly scaled back. So I resisted the temptation of really like adjusting for that, just so you can get an idea of what was happening. So I thought this was kind of interesting, just to see the dynamics of the waveforms that each load box was putting out. Most of them are very dynamic, more dynamic than you'll see what the actual speaker is putting out. You'll see the peaks are leveled through the speaker through just the physics of air moving and microphones and that stuff. Most of the load boxes are super dynamic, which I think sometimes is a little bit of the problem. It'd be nice to have a control of that somehow, like some compression to pull down some of that limiting. And then you'll see on the Fryette, strangely, the Fryette is very compressed, which I think I've said before. Sometimes when you plug into the Fryette, it's like juicy, and you're just like, whoa, the sustain, these notes, how are these notes hanging? And it feels really good. Maybe that's why, because it's getting this extra little compressed juice happening. In this case, with this sound, I would have liked to have the bigger dynamic range, but I can't find any kind of control that will let me do that as far as the load side. So yeah, I just thought this was a kind of interesting thing to take a look at, since we're deep diving through this nonsense. So now I'll give you the same stuff, but in the track. The aux doesn't have a Lynchback. I mean, it doesn't have like a million speaker options in there. So I just kind of worked to really match it. It came really close. You know, it kind of had that like blues breaker sort of style cab, which is what my Friedman is, sort of in that realm. And I went with a greenback, I think, and then switched the mics a little bit. It came out pretty good. Dun, dun, dun.